All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Bhumi Pujan for construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya at 12:30 p.m. today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to lay the foundation stone. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 66.30%. A slew of development measures over past 1 year mark the first anniversary of creation of Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Vaishno Devi Yatra to resume from 16th of August as Jammu and Kashmir government decides to open religious places. Polling begins for parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka. And at least 70 people killed and more than 4,000 injured in huge explosion in Lebanese capital Beirut. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in Bhumi Pujan function for the construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya today. He will unveil a plaque to mark the laying of foundation stone and also release commemorative postal stamp on Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir. The Bhumi Pujan ceremony will start at 12:30 p.m. and culminate at 12:45 p.m. We have a report.
Mr. Modi will first have darshan at Sri Hanuman Gadi Mandir, after which he will perform puja of Bhagwan Sri Ram Lalla at Sri Ram Janmabhoomi. It will be followed by the Bhumi Pujan. 175 guests, including 135 saints belonging to 135 spiritual traditions, have been invited for the ceremony. Apart from the 175 invitees, Mahesh Bhagchandka and Pawan Singhal from family of late Ashok Singhal, former President of Vishwa Hindu Parishad, will be Mukhya Yajman for the Bhumi Pujan. During the Bhumi Pujan function, 5 people will be on the stage. PM Modi, RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat, Uttar Pradesh Governor Anandiben Patel, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and Mahant Nritya Gopal Das, who is President of the Trust. Heavy security arrangements are in place in Ayodhya due to the function and no mobile phones will be allowed at the venue of Bhumi Pujan. Each invitee has been provided with invitation card that bears a code. This code will ensure that one invitee gets entry only once. Renu Kataria, AIR News, Delhi.
Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Teerth Kshetra Trust and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath have appealed to all Ram Bhakts across the world to organize bhajan, kirtan and prasad distribution in all villages and cities while taking all necessary precautions to prevent the spread of corona. After the appeal of the Chief Minister and the Trust, people in the state are lighting earthen lamps at their houses and a special Deepotsav is being organized in Ayodhya. The lanes of Ayodhya and ghats of holy Saryu River are illuminated with thousands of earthen lamps. Beautiful rangolis along with special gates and colorful streets depicting the saga of Ramayana are ready to welcome the Prime Minister. People are lighting diyas in their houses and are in a festive mood.
डॉक्टर राजेश कुमार शुक्ला, जिस तरह से मंदिर निर्माण का कार्य शुरू होने जा रहा है उसको देखते हुए लग रहा है कि अब ये जो है नगरी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर की नगरी के रूप में उभरेगी। मेरा नाम है धीरज यादव। पहली बात तो इस जन्म में हमको राम मंदिर निर्माण देखने का मौका मिल रहा है। हमारी कितनी पीढ़ियां चली गई, इस बात को देखते देखते मोदी जी को दिल से मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ।
Our correspondent reports Ram Temple in Ayodhya will be a very strong structure which can withstand an earthquake also.
Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma means Ram is the embodiment of Dharma, the incarnate. And the Ram Temple in Ayodhya will give the chance to crores of Ram Bhakts worldwide to see this incarnation in a grand structure. The historic moment will come this afternoon when in same Abhijit Muhurt in which Lord Rama was born, Prime Minister will do the Bhumi Pujan for a grand Ram Temple of Ram Lalla in Ayodhya. The proposed Ram Temple in Ayodhya will be a very strong structure which can withstand an earthquake because there will be no use of steel during construction and only copper will be used. The 3-story structure will have Ram Lalla at ground floor while Ram Darbar will be on the first floor. Second floor will be reserved for Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Teerth Kshetra Trust. The grand temple will be 161 feet tall. 2 mandaps have been added in the old design and it will now have 5 mandaps and 1 octagon-shaped shikhar. Construction of Ram Mandir will take at least 3 to 3.5 years. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Ayodhya.
All India Radio will broadcast live the Bhumi Pujan function from Ayodhya from 11:40 this morning. It can be heard on EIR FM Gold and additional frequencies. Doordarshan will also broadcast the function live. The road to this Bhumi Pujan ceremony witnessed a medley of historical, cultural, religious and political events. On 9th of November last year, the Apex Court, in its judgment of one of the longest drawn land title dispute in the history, allowed construction of Ram Mandir at the Ram Janmabhoomi Sthan in Ayodhya. The judgment came exactly after 3 decades of Vishwa Hindu Parishad laying down the first brick, marking the Shilanyas at the site on the 9th of November 1989. The Union Cabinet earlier this year, in the month of February, approved setting up of the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Teerth Kshetra Trust. The trust was empowered to take decisions independently on the construction of the Ram Mandir and other related issues. It was also thereafter handed over the 67.7 acres of land at the temple site, keeping in mind the needs of crores of devotees. In Chhattisgarh, people are very excited about the Bhumi Pujan for Ram Temple to be held in Ayodhya today, as this region is considered as the maternal home of Lord Ram. There is an atmosphere of joy in the whole state, as Lord Ram is believed to have spent a long time in this region during his exile. A report from our correspondent.
In Ramayana era, Chhattisgarh's Bastar division was known as Dandakaranya. Sri Ram had spent significant amount of time during exile in forest. As per belief, Sri Ram had established a Shivling at Rampal area of Bastar district before moving from northern to southern part of India. Chhattisgarh government has identified 75 places believed to have been traversed by Lord Ram during his exile. These places will be developed as a part of Ram Vangaman Paratan Paripath. The Chief Minister has announced that a grand temple of Mata Kaushalya will be constructed at Chandkhuri near capital city Raipur. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has asked all the temples in the state to organize special puja and darshan today to coincide with Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Temple Bhumi Puja in Ayodhya. The Hindu Religious Institutions and Charitable Endowments Department has issued an order asking the temple priests to organize the puja for the success of Bhumi Puja, unhindered completion of Ram Temple, and for the well-being of all the citizens in the state. The temples are, however, asked to ensure social distancing and other norms while performing special puja in the background of the pandemic. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palanisamy has congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the scheduled laying of the foundation stone for the Ram Mandir at Ayodhya. In a statement in Chennai last evening, he said the historic Apex Court ruling on the Ayodhya issue has paved the way for the construction of the temple amiably. DMK legislator in Tamil Nadu Assembly, K.K. Selvam, met BJP President J.P. Nadda in New Delhi last evening. He was accompanied by the Tamil Nadu BJP chief L. Murugan and the party National General Secretary Muralidhar Rao. Later, talking to reporters outside Mr. Nadda's residence, Mr. Selvam denied reports that he is joining BJP. He said he visited the national capital to meet Railways Minister Piyush Goyal to seek installation of lifts at a railway station in his constituency. Mr. Selvam said Prime Minister Narendra Modi is providing good governance and praised him for the laying of the foundation stone for the Ram Mandir at Ayodhya.
A total of over 44 lakh tons food grains has been lifted by states and union territories till date under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana 2. Consumer Affairs Ministry said a total of 201 lakh tons of food grains will be distributed among 81 crore beneficiaries under the scheme. A total of 12 lakh tons chana will also be distributed among 19 crore families. PMGKAY2 has been started from 1st of July and it will continue till the November this year. The ministry said a total of over 759 lakh tons food grain stock is available with Food Corporation of India. A slew of developmental measures over past 1 year mark the first anniversary of creation of Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Development is taking place at a rapid speed in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh since the two union territories were carved out. On 5th of August last year, the government revoked the special status granted to Jammu and Kashmir by modifying Article 370 of the Constitution. During 1-year period prior to August 5th, 2019, a total number of 172 locals joined different terrorist groups. After August 5th, 2019 till date, recruitment fell by 42% from 172 to 100. The total number of terrorists who attempted infiltration from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir also decreased by 33%. A report.
There has been a 54% reduction of terrorist-initiated violence in Jammu and Kashmir. As against 395 incidents prior to 5th August last year, it is 181 post that date till now. 80% of the total 1,391 law and order incidents in the past year were reported during the first 3 months of August, September and October. The situation improved dramatically as average law and order related incidents fell from 370 per month to the current rate of 28 per month. With Divakar, Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
It's been a year since Government of India scrapped Article 370 and 35A and created 2 union territories, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir. For security agencies, there is a reason to cheer as figures suggest that 0 street protests were reported while only 14 incidents of law and order took place in the first half of the ensuing year. A report.
According to official data, no major law and order situation was witnessed in Kashmir since January 1 this year, barring a few incidents that were small in nature. The law and order incidents were less violent in nature compared to previous years and no civilian killing took place in the protests. It becomes evident that youth of the Kashmir have understood the futility of the street protests and have decided not to indulge such things. With only 14 incidents of law and order taking place and that too in southern parts of Kashmir, the number is too less if compared to previous years. This signifies a big change and makes one believe that this year post-abrogation of Article 370 has witnessed a sea change. R.K. Rana, AR News, Jammu.
Meanwhile, the central government has taken several steps for the improvement of business and trade sector in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. These steps played an instrumental role in the development of the region. More details from our correspondent.
The 15th Finance Commission has allocated grant of more than 30,000 crore rupees for the development of Jammu and Kashmir and around 6,000 crore rupees for Ladakh for this financial year. In addition, global investment summits have been organized to attract the investor to make investment in the region. Reforms have been made in all the departments to make better synergy between them and removing the hindrances. Kashmiri Kesar has been given geo-indicator tag and this shows that the trade of the region is acquiring global dimensions. A new industrial policy for the region will be announced soon. Bhupendra Singh, AIR News, Delhi.
Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Girish Chandra Murmu has approved the creation of Block Development Fund on the pattern of Constituency Development Fund. 25 lakh rupees each will be placed at the disposal of Block Development Council BDC chairpersons to be used for local block developmental works. The works in this regard could be identified by the BDC chairpersons as per the local priorities. Ladakh is celebrating the first anniversary of realization of its 7-decades-old dream today. It was on this day last year, Ladakh was granted the status of the Union Territory. Lieutenant Governor R.K. Mathur has greeted the people on the occasion.
The date of 5th August 2019 is historic. Ladakh has launched into a new historic journey altogether. I congratulate all of the Ladakhis on this occasion.
In an exclusive interview to AIR News, Mr. Mathur expressed his belief that Ladakhis have all the potential to prosper in all spheres of life. He said disciplined and hard-working Ladakhis deserve better life. The UT administration is working on all aspects that could bring opportunities and fulfill expectations of people of Ladakh.
Their apprehensions in terms of jobs, environment, social culture, these are all clearly known, clearly understood and clearly appreciated. This is something which the Union Territory Administration is working on.
In the run-up to the 74th Independence Day celebrations, we bring you today a special story about development in the education sector in the country. The government has taken several steps to provide quality and accessible education and build a robust education infrastructure in the country during the last 6 years.
Exclusively speaking with AIR News, Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank said that radical changes in every field of education have been done in the last 6 years.
स्कूली शिक्षा में ध्रुव तारा जैसे कार्यक्रम हुए हैं जो पूरे देश से चुनिंदे बच्चों को लेकर के उनकी प्रतिभाओं को समग्र विकास करने से लेकर और अटल टिंकरिंग लैब से लेकर के ताकि उनकी मन मस्तिष्क के संपूर्ण तंत्र खुले और वो तेजी से आगे काम कर सकें और अंतिम छोर के बच्चे को शिक्षा से वंचित न रहे और उच्च शिक्षा में विभिन्न प्रकार के प्रयोग यहाँ तक कि IOE जो विशेष ऐसे विश्वविद्यालय स्थापित किए जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय फलक पर अपना नाम करेंगे, भारत का नाम रोशन करेंगे, शिक्षा के स्तर को बढ़ाएंगे.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated all the bright youngsters who have successfully cleared the Civil Services Examination 2019. Extending his best wishes, Mr. Modi said, an exciting and satisfying career of public service awaits them. The Indian Army has kick-started the process to grant permanent commission to eligible women officers nearly 2 weeks after the Defence Ministry approved the proposal. It has asked women officers to apply for permanent commission by 31st August this year. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Bhumi Pujan for construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya at 12:30 p.m. today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to lay the foundation stone. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 66.30%. A slew of development measures over past 1 year mark the first anniversary of creation of Union Territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Vaishno Devi Yatra to resume from August 16 as Jammu and Kashmir government decides to open religious places. Polling begins for parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka and at least 70 people killed and more than 4,000 injured in huge explosion in Lebanese capital in Beirut. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
The COVID-19 recovered cases are now double of active cases in the country. Currently, the recovered cases are over 10.30 lakh. With this, the recovery rate has gone up to an impressive 66.30%. The fatality rate is also the lowest at 2.10% since the first lockdown. Briefing media in New Delhi yesterday, Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan said the fatality rate has seen a progressive decline and it is continuing.
भारतवर्ष में अब तक हमने 2 करोड़ टेस्ट कर लिए हैं. इसमें RT-PCR और रैपिड एंटीजन टेस्ट शामिल हैं. पिछले 24 घंटों में हमने 6,60,000 टेस्ट देश भर में किए और जो रिकवर्ड केसेस हैं उनकी संख्या अब एक्टिव केसेस के दुगने से भी ज्यादा हो गई है और जो केस फर्टिलिटी रेट है इस समय देश में वो पहले लॉकडाउन के समय से यानी 25 मार्च के समय से लेकर अब तक सबसे कम बिंदु पर है.
Gujarat recorded 1,020 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday, with 898 patients discharged after recovery. In Gujarat, 898 COVID-19 patients have been discharged from various hospitals after recovery during the last 24 hours, as the recovery rate has further improved to 73.60%. More from our correspondent.
According to official sources, 1,020 new cases have been reported in the state yesterday. Total cases in the state have gone up to 65,704. Out of 14,811 active cases, 87 patients are on ventilator support. 25 patients have lost their lives yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 in the state up to 2,534. More than 8,54,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date, out of which 20,735 tests have been carried out yesterday. Door-to-door surveillance and mass screening will be launched in the new areas in micro-containment zone from today. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
In Tamil Nadu, the total COVID-19 infection has touched 2,80,000, while those discharged has exceeded 2,08,000. Meanwhile, the State Health Minister, Dr. C. Vijay Bhaskar has said legal action will be initiated against those spreading rumours about the COVID-19 pandemic. Talking to reporters in Chennai yesterday, he said a report is being circulated in social media claiming that 43 doctors treating the disease in the state have died of it. He said the report is false. Here is a report on this.
The Minister, Dr. Vijay Bhaskar, has said false information on the pandemic situation would affect the morale of the doctors, nurses and other paramedics who are in the front line battling against the disease. The report about the mortality among the doctors was attributed to the Indian Medical Association IMA. However, he said the IMA has distanced from it, asserting that the medical body has not released the data. He also said the doubling rate of COVID-19 cases in Chennai has gone up to 65 days, which is 100 days in some of its zones, showing signs of improvement. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
Tripura Chief Minister Biplab Kumar Deb's test result for COVID came negative. Meanwhile, the state government has extended full lockdown in the 193 containment zones till the 31st of this month. In Madhya Pradesh, 413 mask banks have been set up so far under the Ek Mask Anek Zindagi campaign aimed at protecting citizens from corona infection. Our correspondent reports these mask banks have been set up with the help of voluntary organizations, public representatives and citizens.
Urban Development and Housing Minister Bhupendra Singh has said that the mask is the simplest and cheapest means of preventing corona infection. So far, over 130,000 masks have been donated by the various institutions and citizens in this campaign. Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 cases in the state climbed up to 35,082 after the 797 new cases reported in the past 24 hours in Madhya Pradesh. The death toll rose to 912. As per the State Health Bulletin, 1,315 coronavirus patients were discharged from the hospitals yesterday, taking the number of recovered cases in the state to 25,414. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In our series Expert Speak on All India Radio, we bring you views of leading medical experts on COVID-19. Dr. S. Rajeshwari, Department of Anesthesiology, AIIMS, has advised people to maintain hand hygiene.
We have seen that there is a severe shortage of ICU facilities in the most developed of countries. And in order that we do not face the same calamity in our country, it is vital that we do not stress the health system by becoming more sick and bringing more patients. And for this, I urge that you must stay at home and must maintain hand hygiene to reduce the number of patients coming into the hospital.
Vaishno Devi Yatra will resume on August 16th after Jammu and Kashmir government decided to open religious places in the Union Territory. Shri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board announced the resumption of the pilgrimage almost 4 months after it was suspended because of the coronavirus pandemic. Jammu and Kashmir government has decided to open all religious places across the Union Territory from 16th of this month, a day after Independence Day celebrations.
New Delhi has described a so-called political map of Pakistan issued by Prime Minister Imran Khan as an exercise in political absurdity, laying untenable claims to territories in the Indian state of Gujarat and our union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. A press statement issued by the Ministry of External Affairs said these ridiculous assertions have neither legal validity nor international credibility. It said, in fact, this new effort only confirms reality of Pakistan's obsession with territorial aggrandizement supported by cross-border terrorism. In Lebanon, at least 70 people have been killed and more than 4,000 injured in a huge explosion in the capital Beirut last night. The explosion sent shockwaves that shattered windows, smashed masonry and shook the ground across the Lebanese capital. Officials are blaming highly explosive materials stored in a warehouse for 6 years. President Michel Aoun said it is unacceptable that 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate was stored unsafely. President Aoun has declared a 3-day mourning and said the government will release $66 million as emergency funds. Indian Embassy in Lebanon is in touch with the Indian community. The embassy has also shared its helpline numbers with the Indian community. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that he is shocked and saddened by the large explosion in Beirut city, leading to loss of life and property. He said, "Our thoughts and prayers are with the bereaved families and the injured."
Polling has begun for parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka. Voting is taking place for 225 seats with strict health guidelines amidst COVID-19 pandemic. The polling, which began at 7 this morning, will continue till 5 p.m. The counting of votes will be taken up on Friday and the results are expected by late evening on that day. Over 7,450 candidates are in fray. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, former PM Ranil Wickremesinghe and former President Maithripala Sirisena are among the main contestants. Mumbai and its adjoining areas have been receiving heavy rainfall for the second consecutive day today. Heavy rains lashed several parts of Mumbai, Thane and adjoining Palghar district in Maharashtra overnight. The Met Department has issued a red alert for today, forecasting extremely heavy rains at isolated places in Mumbai, Thane and Raigad. Citizens have been asked to avoid the coast while fire brigade and NDRF teams are ready to act in case of an emergency. More details from our correspondent.
Mumbai today woke up to heavy rainfall for the second consecutive day. Yesterday, the city had reported nearly 270 millimeters of rainfall in a single day. Several low-lying areas in Thane district were submerged and tree-falling incidents in Thane city and its surrounding areas were reported. Meanwhile, the City Corporation of Mumbai has also put on alert fire brigade and operating staff have temporarily installed 300 pumping stations. Officers have also been put on high alert in case evacuation is required in areas around rivers. Education officers have been told to keep the BMC schools prepared if any emergency situation arises and people need shelter. Devapriya Bhattacharjee, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Bihar, the flood situation continues to remain grim in affected areas of the state. Over 64 lakh people of 16 districts spread over 1,152 panchayats are reeling under the impact of flood. 42 people have lost their lives in flood-related accidents during the last 24 hours. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has instructed to conduct corona tests for those who are staying in relief camps. Relief and rescue operations have been intensified. Now let us take a look at today's weather update. The national capital Delhi may have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature was recorded at 28 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 37 degrees. Chennai will have a generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 27 and 36 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the metropolis was 27 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature in Jammu was 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees Celsius. The city will have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was 19 degrees while the maximum will be around 33 degrees Celsius. Ladakh will have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards the afternoon or evening. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 17 and 37 degrees Celsius. It will experience mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards evening or night. In Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards evening or night. The minimum temperature was 23 degrees Celsius, while the maximum temperature will be around 37 degrees.
And now, an overview of today's newspapers. The front page headlines in all the dailies today talk about the foundation laying of the majestic Ram Mandir. Ayodhya all decked up, writes the Statesman. The Times of India reports, back in Ayodhya after 29 years, PM to lay first Ram temple brick today. The Economic Times notes 15 new names in list of 47 banned Chinese applications. In a first, Army deploys women soldiers near LOC, notes the Times of India. The Asian Age reports about the huge blow to Indian IT professionals eyeing the US job market. Trump bans hiring of H-1B visa holders for government jobs. Western Railway to flag off the first rake of 42 wagons containing onions for Bangladesh is a story in the Hindu business line. And finally, the Indian Express writes about the inspirational UPSC success stories as the results were declared yesterday, with a farmer's son, an IIT graduate and a fireman among the rankers.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Bhumi Pujan for construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya at 12:30 p.m. today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to lay the foundation stone. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 66.30%. A slew of development measures over past 1 year mark the first anniversary of creation of Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Vaishno Devi Yatra to resume from August 16th as Jammu and Kashmir government decides to open religious places. Polling begins for parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka, and at least 70 people killed and more than 4,000 injured in huge explosion in Lebanese capital Beirut. And with that we end the morning news. Have a nice day.